Ah, Guitar Hero. The game that makes you feel like a rock star while simultaneously making you look like the biggest dork on the planet. I've made it clear time and time again on this channel that I absolutely love this series to death. And since I've always wanted to give reviewing video games a try, inspired by the likes of Cat Icarus, Square-Eyed Jack, and Some Call Me Johnny, I figure there's probably no better place to start than with my favourite game series of all time.
Of course, naturally, we'll be starting off with the first game in the series, Guitar Hero on PlayStation 2. Now, before we talk about the game itself, I'd like to briefly talk about the controller. Rather than a standard DualShock controller, we instead have this plastic guitar based on the Gibson SG. As you can see, we have 5 different coloured fret buttons on the neck, a strum bar in the middle, a whammy bar off to the side, and 2 more buttons for start and select. Honestly, this is actually one of the best Guitar Hero controllers I've ever used. I got it over 10 years ago, and it still works perfectly with no issues. Of course, you could always just play with a DualShock, but good luck remembering which buttons do what.
Anyway, on to the game. After deleting my old save file from 11 years ago because the game inexplicably couldn't load it without crashing, I'm prompted to name my band. Now for this, you could just enter your name, think of something cool sounding, maybe use an online name generator to come up with some band names to pick from, or if you're like me, you could enter something stupid, immature, and slightly edgy. Afterwards, the game moves on to the main menu where we can pick which mode we want to play. Obviously, the main game mode is Career, where you play the lead guitarist of an up-and-coming rock band, but there's also Quick Play mode, where you can freely play any of the songs that are currently unlocked, Multiplayer mode, where you face off against another player, and the tutorial section where you can learn how to play the game. This is probably where most people start, but since I already know how to play, I'm just going to go straight into Career mode. You'll be given a choice between 8 playable characters, 6 of which are unlocked from the start. Axel Steele, Clive Winston, Judy Nails, Johnny Napalm, Pandora, and Xavier Stone. Ultimately, it doesn't matter who you pick because it's entirely aesthetic, so pick whoever you like best. I usually go with Pandora. Afterwards, we get our first gig and our first set of 5 songs. Career mode is actually fairly simple. Depending on your difficulty level, you'll need to play either 4 or all 5 songs in each venue in order to unlock the next. Rinse and repeat for 6 venues and 30 songs in total, gradually increasing in difficulty as you progress through the setlist. So, let's talk gameplay. The main thing to keep in mind are the coloured fret buttons on your guitar controller. To play notes, you have to hold down the correct coloured button that matches the circle scrolling down the screen, and press the strum bar as it reaches the strike line at the bottom of the screen. Depending on your difficulty level, the number of buttons you need to press and the complexity of notes you'll need to play will increase. Easy has very few notes and only requires you to use the green, red and yellow buttons. Medium has more notes and also requires you to use the blue button. Hard has even more notes than that and requires the use of all 5 fret buttons. And Expert has even more notes than Hard and a faster scroll speed. Aside from the note highway, you also have your rock meter, which will give you an indication of how well you're doing. You'll start off in the yellow section in the middle, but as you play well, the needle will move into the green and the audience will begin to cheer for you. Play badly, on the other hand, and the needle will go down into the red and the crowd will start booing you. If your rock meter ends up being fully depleted, the crowd will boo you off the stage and you will fail the song. On the other side of the screen, you have your score and multiplier. When you hit a certain number of notes in a row, you will earn a points multiplier, which will double, triple, or quadruple the number of points you earn for each note. This point bonus gives you incentive to continue to play well, as in order to maintain a ×4 multiplier, you'll need to maintain your combo for as long as you can, because missing even a single note will immediately cancel your multiplier. Oh, and you might have noticed some of these notes have a white glow on top. These notes are called hammer-ons and pull-offs. And they suck. I'll explain how they work, but they work completely differently in this game than they do in the later games, and even when you're hitting them correctly, it seems to be a crapshoot whether or not the game will even register it. Honestly, I can't really give an unbiased take on these, because as somebody who started with Guitar Hero 3 and is more used to how hammer-ons and pull-offs work in every other game in this series, GH1's Hopo notes fuck with my muscle memory pretty bad. Finally, you'll occasionally notice glowing star-shaped notes come down the highway. If you hit every single one of these notes in a combo, you'll earn some star power. In addition, if one of these notes happens to be a sustained note where you need to hold the button down, you can wiggle the whammy bar to gain extra star power. Once your star power meter is at least half full, You can activate it by tilting the controller or pressing the select button. Upon activation, your current score multiplier is temporarily doubled, so if you're already maintaining a ×4 multiplier, it will be temporarily upgraded to a ×8 multiplier until your star power is depleted. In quick play, you can freely choose your difficulty for every song, but in career mode, your career progression is locked to your chosen difficulty level. So if you pick expert and want to move down to hard, you'll have to start the career from the beginning. This is why I chose hard rather than expert, so I wouldn't end up getting roadblocked by some of the harder songs. After completing each song, you'll receive payment. The amount of money you receive will vary depending on your chosen difficulty level and your performance. The game will keep track of your score and how many notes you actually hit, and will rate your performance at the end of the song accordingly on a scale of 1 to 5 stars. The more stars you earn, the better the paycheck. Completing a venue will also earn your bonus. The money you earn from playing songs can then be used in the Unlock shop to purchase new guitars, guitar skins, bonus songs, behind the scenes videos on the making of the game, and 2 additional characters, Izzy Sparks and the Grim Reaper. Most of this doesn't really do anything aside from aesthetics, so the main thing you're probably going to want to buy are the 17 bonus songs, which can be purchased for $300 each. Speaking of, let's move on to the music. The main setlist contains a good mix of classic rock and metal bands such as Black Sabbath, Queen, the Edgar Winter Group, and ZZ Top, as well as then current bands like Sum 41, Franz Ferdinand, and Incubus. Unfortunately, they're all cover versions of varying quality recorded by the studio musicians at WaveGroup Sound. I don't know if this was a budget thing or a stylistic choice, but it is what it is. Most of the covers are decent enough, but some of them are pretty bad. Spanish Castle Magic ended up being an instrumental due to Jimi Hendrix's estate refusing them permission to impersonate his vocals, probably because they sounded like crap.
It's very far away. Takes about half a day to get there. If we travel by my dragonfly.
And their cover of Sum 41's Fat Lip ends up sounding like a cover band at a high school talent show.
Don't count on me to let you know when. Don't count on me. I'll do it again.
That being said, some of the covers are truly exceptional, such as the Iron Man cover using the exact same model of fan to faithfully recreate Ozzy's iconic vocal effect at the beginning of the song. But for me, the absolute standout is the cover of David Bowie's Ziggy Stardust, because they added a guitar solo after the second chorus, and it is beautiful. The bonus songs, on the other hand, are all master recordings, and most of them are from either local indie bands near Harmonix's Boston HQ, or bands featuring members of Harmonix themselves. Honestly, a lot of these songs are pretty underrated, and I highly recommend checking them out. A couple of the more notable ones include Fire It Up by Black Label Society, as the band would later be featured in Guitar Hero World Tour with their song Stillborn, complete with guitarist Zakk Wylde appearing as a playable character, as well as The Breaking Wheel by Artillery, as this is their only appearance in the series credited under that name. They would later be made aware after the game's release that Artillery was already the name of a Danish thrash metal band, and subsequently changed their name to Breaking Wheel after the song. And interestingly, one of the bonus songs was actually the winner of the Be a Guitar Hero contest that Harmonix held prior to the game's release. Indie bands could submit their songs online to Harmonix, and whichever song they liked the best would be featured in the game as a playable track. Ultimately, the winner of this competition ended up being Graveyard Barbecue with their song Cheat on the Church. However, the 30 main setlist songs and 17 bonus songs aren't the only songs in the game's files. Hidden on the disc are 2 cut bonus songs that can only be accessed using cheat devices such as Action Replay or GameShark. First, we have Trippolette by Andi Buch, a song originally composed as a student project while she was working at Harmonix. While the song is fully charted, it was ultimately cut from the final release, but as it is still present in the game files, Andi was able to release a cheat code on her personal website to re-enable the song. Eventually, Trippolette ended up being re-recorded and released as DLC for Rock Band via the now defunct Rock Band Network service. The other scrapped song is titled Graveyard Shift, and was performed by an unknown artist. While it is speculated that a Harmonix employee named Aaron is responsible for the song, nothing concrete has ever been explicitly confirmed to my knowledge. Graveyard Shift is a very weird song, and it's also not particularly well charted, so it was likely cut fairly early in development. So, would I recommend the original Guitar Hero for people looking to get into the series for the first time? The answer is absolutely not. While this game has aged better than I initially thought, it lacks a lot of the quality of life features the later games in the series would add. Aside from the previously mentioned Hopo notes, there is also no option to set the game to a widescreen aspect ratio, which is why most of the footage you've been seeing in this video is horribly stretched. And there is also no option for audio-video calibration, so if you're playing on an HD TV, it is possible that you may run into issues with the audio and video not being synced correctly. In addition, there is also no practice mode in this game, so if you want to practice a particular song, your only option is to keep replaying it in quick play. This also means that there is no way to practice specific sections of a song, you have to play the whole song all the way through. Oh, and if you have to pause the game for any reason, the moment you unpause, the game will just immediately resume the song without giving you time to reorient your finger placement, inevitably causing you to miss. Honestly, at this point, I'd only really recommend you play this game if you're looking for an extra challenge, or if you're curious how the series got its start. Otherwise, you're better off just playing all these songs on Clone Hero instead. That's what I usually do. So, with all that said, I'll be giving the original Guitar Hero a 6 out of 10. It's not perfect by any means, it's a flawed game that has aged poorly in some areas, but it's a solid foundation for what would go on to become one of the most popular music games of all time.
Of course, while Harmonix received a lot of critical praise for this game, and Guitar Hero went on to become a massive success, they would listen to the criticism and make improvements for the inevitable sequel. So next time, we'll be taking a look at Guitar Hero 2 for the Xbox 360. But until then, this has been Swifty Stardust. Thank you for watching, and have an excellent day. See you next time.
To all my friends who met their end, well, I'll see you again.